The sermon title for today is The Resurrecting Power of Family Restoration. That's a little highfalutin to me. The resurrecting power of family restoration. It is about the life of Joseph, one of the 12 sons of Jacob. You know him very well. He is the one that before I went to seminary, we said the one with the coat of many colors, though as you remember in seminary, they say, really, it's the one who had the coat with long sleeves. So if I were to quibble about it, a long-sleeved coat of many colors. We got it, both of them, right? You know everybody knows the story of Joseph, right? So you can even help me tell his story. Joseph, so far as I can tell, his whole story could be told as the history of ups and downs. Mm-hmm. In fact, so much so until I'm going to ask you to help me get warmed up by helping me to tell the story. And the part that you take is whenever up is necessary, you say up. And whenever down is necessary, you tell down, as we quickly introduce the story of Joseph. As you will recall, Joseph, born to Rachel just before his brother Benjamin was born, and then she died. She was the wife of Jacob's old age. Bilhah, Zilpah, the others still there, but she's gone. And Joseph is so well loved. The one thing about him, however, is that Joseph always had this tendency to be dreaming. In his dreams, he talked about how gathering sheaves of wheat, that his sheaf of wheat would stand up. And everybody else's sheaves of wheat would be bowing down. The brothers could not stand this. He even dreamed the second time that the sun, moon, and the 11 stars were bowing down to me. They couldn't stand it, especially since they were very much aware that Jacob loved him more than all the rest. So one day, as he's headed down to check on their brothers, they see him coming. They say, let's kill him. They conspired to kill him. As he drew near to them, Reuben, one of his brothers, says, let's not do this. So they decided to put him down into a pit. But no sooner than they had moved a bit away, along came some traitors. And one brother says, let's don't kill him. Let's take him up out of the pit. No sooner he's up out of the pit, they sell him down into Egypt. But Egypt is a good place. God is with him. And there he is employed in the household of Potiphar, the captain of the guards. And while he is there, everything just works so well that he quickly becomes the trustee of all that Potiphar owned. Of course, the text says that he was a handsome and good-looking man. And Mrs. Potiphar sat her eye on the brother. Can I talk plain while I'm here today? I mean, I don't know. But Mrs. Potiphar wanted the brother to get down. But somehow his values were such that he stood and said, no, I dare not violate the rules of commitment. Your husband has given me charge of everything except you. But she wouldn't take no for an answer. Day after day, she ran after him. As a matter of fact, one day when there was nobody in the house, she advanced towards him. As she did, he said, oh no. She wouldn't take no for an answer. And therefore, she grabbed his garment. You're going to be Mrs. Potiphar. Take the job. Grabbed his garment. He ran out of the house. as he ran out of the house, she claimed, "Yeah, look what this Hebrew has done to me. He made advances against me." And that's what she told her husband when he returned. He ended up, therefore, down in prison. Down in prison he was. He interpreted the dream of the butler and the baker, indicating that the butler would return to the king. The baker would have his head lifted up. He'd be executed. And he said to the cupbearer, "Listen, when you get out of here, when things are better for you, remember me. Tell the king what has happened, for I am here unjustly condemned. Don't forget me. Remember that. Don't forget me. Remember me." So he interprets a dream, and then the king has a dream that is then finally interpreted by Joseph. And it happens that when the King Pharaoh heard he was an interpreter of dreams, he sent down into prison and brought him up to the palace. He interprets the dream, and now they know there will be 7 years of plenty to be followed by 7 years of famine. And the reality is, that's the history of his life, a history of ups and downs. But at long last, he's at the pinnacle of success. He is second only to King Pharaoh of Egypt. When he rides down the street, people say, "Bow the knee." He has a beautiful young wife, whose name is Asenath. And to this union are born 2 kids, one named Ephraim and the other is named Manasseh. Manasseh the first, and then Ephraim. It's wonderful. Oh, he has everything. People come from all over the world to get grain in the time of famine, for the famine was everywhere in the world. He's got everything imaginable. Everything. But one thing has not yet come clear. Oh, he's riding high. He's kind of like whoever the billionaires and millionaires are in the nation. I mean, so much until you couldn't think of it. If you wanted to buy them a present, what would you buy them? What do you buy folks that got everything? He had everything, but you can have all of the goods of this world and still miss something very, very significant. In fact, you can have lots and lots and lots of money and still be missing one of the most important things. My mind quickly goes back to 1968. It was the year that Dr. King was assassinated. I was a chaplain training at Medical College of Virginia. They had heart transplant operations during those times. Dr. Lowry was the chief surgeon there who initiated this procedure. During the time of his coming, we would have grand rounds. There's a doctor in the house. You all know all about this, grand rounds. And during the grand rounds, we asked Dr. Lowry, tell us, the person who is a donor in a heart transplant operation, is the person still alive? Dr. Lowry says, now, in this hospital, our work is done by clinical definitions. We have certain vital signs that we have to check off. If someone has been in a massive accident or they've had major organ failures in the body, because clearly, he says, clearly, if the heart is dead, it cannot be helpful to anybody. But what we do after we measure all of the vital signs, if we discover that measuring these signs, if this person no longer has meaningful, purposeful human existence, we can stamp this person clinically dead. In a sense, Joseph had everything, but it is not yet clear that he truly has meaningful and purposeful existence. In other words, Does he understand the why and what for of his life? In fact, his father had said, after they brought news about what had happened, father saw the garment and thought maybe the blood on it had represented that he was killed. Jacob said of him, my son Joseph is dead. I mean, he's still alive. He's still breathing. His metabolic processes have not ceased. But the absence of a sense of the meaning and purpose of his life may qualify him as the father said, dead. Or otherwise they said, I've had 12 sons, but one is no more. If you lose your basic humanity, your basic sense of why you exist and what God wants to do with your life, in some way, the Bible would speak of it as being dead in trespasses. Oh, he believed in God. Oh, he was used of God. He was blessed of God. He had everything. So on an occasion, it finally happens where I read for you that when Judah was speaking to him, something began to happen inside of himself. Because they were saying, look, he had said, you're going to leave this Benjamin here with me. You rest, you can go back. But Judah says, no, my Lord. If, in other words, Mr. Nathaniel, because he has all his regal attire, if you hold Benjamin back and we return and our brother is not with us, we fear we will kill our father. When he's talking to him like that, this is the prayer of Christian unity. You see, it's a fascinating thing. I really did not know that text had anything to do with this event. Except, you can tell sometimes what means something to people by what they name their children. Oh, I don't know why for all of these years I'll overlook this. You know what he named his two sons? He named one Manasseh. And that means, for God has made me forget all my hardships and all the house of my fathers. Isn't it amazing? He names his kid, God has made me forget all my hardships and all the house of my fathers. Can you understand that? The struggles of life that help to shape your character. You forget that? To forget your father's house, your family connections, who you are a part of, where you came from. You may be an established citizen, but if you're not a Native American, you're an immigrant, no matter what it was. But you forget all of that. You're just going to forget your father's house. You're going to forget your hardships. You're going to forget what happened when you got off to the Mayflower. Now you are Mr. Big Stuff, and you're going to claim, God made me forget all my hardships and all the house of my fathers. That's the first son. This thing is deep. Where's the psychiatrist? Is there a psychiatrist in the house? This boy is moribund in regards to his humanity. But no, there's a second kid. Let me tell you about the second kid. The second kid's name is Ephraim. And then he says, God has made me fruitful in the land of my misfortunes. Oh, people, if I had a microphone that could reach further, I would try to tell everyone in the United States that we have just experienced a formula that describes what we saw on television in Chicago. We have come to understand, because we've been trying, sociologists and psychologists have been trying, what's going on in this nation? Why is there so much anger? Why is there so much dysfunctionality? Why is there so much alienation and fragmentation? Why so much separation? Why Why so much bitterness and anger and angst and violence and stuff? Why? I'm going to tell you, we just heard it. For when you have fruitfulness and forgetfulness at the same time, you have a dysfunctional arrangement. Those who have been fruitful, who have reached success, whose economic status is beyond peril and concern, they got everything, but they have forgotten where they came from. They have forgotten how God took them through the winters in Massachusetts, how they took the land of the Native Americans, how they had such death that they thought that the colony would almost be wiped out. They forgot that. Now they are fruitful. Now we are the richest nation in the world. But, excuse me, but we have forgotten that it had not been for God who was on our side. If God had not stood by us in those winters of our early adventure into the colonies of this place, if you forget where you came from, you may have all the billions you want. You may have positions locked up for you and your family for years to come. But when you are fruitful and forget, you have a failure of a society. Dysfunctionality becomes rampant. Well, anyway, let me just move on to the good part of the story. The good part of the story is when Judah starts saying, my father, he had forgotten his father, but in this conversation, which is a wonderful thing. Thank you for your bilingual service today. For people who have been separated, God only has one family. When we have been separated by language, by culture, by class, by orientation, by previous conditions of servitude. When God begins to restore our awareness of the primal unity which exists. This is a week of prayer for Christian unity, right? But it's even beyond Christian. When humanity is reminded that God only has one family, we may come in different hues. We may have different perspectives. We may have different IQs, but there's only one family. When God begins to pull family back together to recognize that we are one in the Spirit, we are one in the Lord, and we pray that our unity may one day be restored. When we start talking with each other, first in anger, it may be a good thing that is coming out on television how angry America is. Folks, there's enough anger to go around. Black folks, we bear it. Like the people in Charleston who said, we ain't got time to be running after revenge for the brother. We just want justice and dignity. We forgive him. But a whole lot of anger when we remember how we were chattel property brought from the land of Africa, the Middle Passage, and how many died there, put on slave blocks and auctioned off like cattle. There are a whole lot of black folks angry, y'all. And then for a couple of 200 and 300 years, white people have had white supremacy ideology that gave them special privileges, special benefits. They've been made to think that they are the replicas of God in their whiteness, that by being white, they are closer representative of God themselves. And then you're going to come along and you're going to start taking that from them. I don't blame if I was white, I'd be mad too. I done got used to all this stuff based on the lie of white supremacy. And now they're going to come talking about it. And then all this stuff, black lives matter, hey, white lives matter. I'd be angry too. There's enough anger to go around. In fact, the truth of the matter is, as you try to work for Christian unity, you should know your job is cut out for you, because you are working in a community and in a nation that is plagued by what I call degenerative discouragement syndrome. There's discouragement everywhere. Discouragement everywhere. Everybody's mad. Everybody's upset. And I always heard, when you got that much anger, that's like gasoline. Don't go around striking a match where you got a whole lot of mass. When you get on the television and rage and rant about anger and kicking folks and all of that, hey, please, y'all, don't strike that match. No. In fact, even when you go to the gas station, please cut off your engine, because some of the gas might just... The nation is too... There are too many accelerants in the spirits and minds of black folks, white folks, rich folks, poor folks, gay folks, straight folks, most all of us. I guarantee you about 90% of the people are almost like having been dumped with gasoline in regards to their spirit. So you be careful. This is why I'm softening my voice. Because if I talk too loud, it might spark some. I should talk loud. Be careful. Don't go around stirring up a whole lot of mess, y'all. Recognize that when that thing happened, Joseph felt almost a tsunami inside of himself. A tidal wave of something happening. And the Lord said, don't worry, I'm doing you a favor. I'm giving you something you never had before. That's going to make you a more human being. It's going to resurrect you from the lost humanity. Something died in you once the society lied about who you are, calling you some kind of Zaphanath Paneer. Yeah, you got time for one more. So at that point, when everybody's God told him, just be yourself, man. Don't let these external categories that you've been assigned, be yourself. And he said, I'm Joseph. He had been Mr. Zaphanath Paneer, but no, I'm Joseph. Is my father still alive? And the Lord said, that's good, because when you become who you really are, I'll reveal something very important to you. I suspect it might have been the first time he knew. Oh, he said to them, y'all, don't be scared. Don't be dismayed. I'm your brother. Yes, I'm the one you sold, but don't think about that. You sold me, but God sent me. And God said, that's good. You understand that your life unfolded because my hand has been right there with you. You wouldn't be here today if I had not sustained you. Then God revealed, you are here. Number one, I preserved your life in order that you might preserve life. I saved you so that I could put you in a position when the time of famine would come that you could preserve life. But not just life. I put you here so that you could preserve survivors of your own people. This is why it's important for me to say today, most of y'all are white. It's important for you to understand that it really wasn't so bad that you all have acted out white lives matter. That's good. And then I have to recognize that unless I care for my people, Black lives matter too. And Latino lives matter. And Native American lives matter. And immigrant lives matter. All these lives matter. I've saved you so that you could preserve life in general, but also life with particularity for those who are near and close to you. But to recognize that who's near and close to you is always broader than you were aware of, because there's been a breakup in the human family. Because not only are you Joseph, you are Benjamin's brother. But not only are you Benjamin's brother, you're Simeon's brother. Not only are you Simeon's brother, you are Reuben's brother. You're Chad's brother. You're Issachar's brother. So actually, when you talk about particularity, all of us are brothers and sisters. That's why we have a week of Christian unity prayer time. We're all really one family. And furthermore, he said, and this, understand, this is what you're going to be talking about this week. I understand. Listen, I've been preaching this sermon for 50 years. That's why I can say it without notes, y'all. Go and get my father and your sisters and brothers. By the way, there were sisters. We act like it's only brothers. There were sisters in that family too. Go get your brothers, go get your sisters and bring them here, and you're going to live in the land of Goshen. And the reason for that, this shocked me, honestly. I don't get shocked too much. He says, because I do not want you to come to poverty. Ain't that something? Sister Yoda, do you realize that the anti-poverty program did not begin with LBJ? It was not FDR. It was not even Russian Bush. It was not even the New Testament church. It started way back in Genesis. God's concern for poverty. Because let me tell you what poverty is. Anything that God made and the resources that God intended for that creature to have, when they are pulled away and denied, that person is impoverished. So if there's a billionaire and he hasn't yet discovered the meaning and purpose of his life, then they ought to call him a poor thing. He got all the billions, but he poor thing. He's pitiful. He ain't got no purpose except his money consumes him. He's poor thing. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? I've overextended my 25 minutes. I'm taking 2 more minutes anyway. Taking 2 more minutes because I cannot end this sermon. Can't end this sermon without saying this, that he finally was resurrected to his full humanity. Any ethnicity in the United States that has lost track of the fact that we are truly one, and who have learned to enjoy being out on an island of your own particularity and your ethnicity, you are dead. Or at least a major aspect of your humanity is dead. But when God wants to pull us together, it is in there's resurrecting power in the restoration of family. Mm-hmm. That's why I wanted to give that highfalutin title. When God begins to pull us together, get these racial categories, class categories, orientation, gender stuff out the way, and help us to understand that we just one people together, something of our humanity is resurrected. And I don't know about you, but I need all the humanity I can get. Something in me says I was meant for more than this. Something says the arrangement is one that deprives me of something essential to the fullness of my being. So that's enough. But I want to get dressed up again. Ma'am, I don't know who you are. You're married or single, but could you help me get dressed again? I mean, anytime a preacher disrobes in public, at least he ought to go out dressed up again. So if you'll help me get that one's first, I guess. Yes, ma'am, thank you very much. I want to at least have some decency in the house. In the house of the Lord. No, not a wardrobe meltdown, I see, right, I tell you. And wow, oh, that's good. Mm-hmm. And leave it on this lighter side, right, like that. Yeah. Sort of give me a different look of going out. You know? Folks, the United States of America is going through a serious epidemic that I call degenerative disappointment syndrome. But the power of reconnecting the family. So I don't know where you come from. You may be Democrat, you may be Republican, I don't know much about you. But if we ever found a way to get our families together again, have some talk. At first it's going to be hard now. It ain't going to be easy at first. But if the family gets restored, I think there's a great day coming. And I'm looking forward to Easter, because that's resurrection. And then I'm looking forward to Pentecost, because guess what? At Pentecost, the spirit that hovered at the dawn of creation touches these people and then begins to resurrect their family connections. So they go from house to house, breaking bread and repair, and then they begin to share so that as any have need is one community. Let me ask you this. Do you have nerve enough to risk being just a part of God's family? And not right away, but giving up some of the prerogatives that have come because of the specificity of your social location? Could you risk being just a part of the beloved community? Would that be enough for you? I'm thinking about it.